Okay, let's talk about it. It's clearly going to be the most talked about thing, so let's talk about it. Okay? So, Jessica and Mark, in our next 4 episodes, right? We get 6 moving in together, 7, it's like what, meet the parents, 8, countdown to I do's or something like that, and I think 9 is like bachelorette parties. Let's talk about Jessica and Mark. So Jessica and Mark, first of all, Netflix is doing something I applaud them. They clearly know how to do reality TV. They're putting them all into a condo, like condominium area. So everybody's getting their own condo, but in the same space as they live together, preparing for their weddings. Awesome. Jessica and Mark move in. They go get their apartments, and so this is what's going to happen with every couple, and I might say this 100 times, but here we go. They're getting their apartments, and then they're going to each person's prospective houses to get things they need to live for the next couple of weeks. Great. That's the plan. They get their little condo. It's cute. It's perfectly fine. Something's different. Jessica is like acting completely different because when we left them, she had basically taken off her ring and kind of broke up with them. And we were left in this weird limbo of like, what are you saying? Is it over? Or are you, what's going on? I did also want to mention that in the first couple of episodes, there was a fight where she has drank too much at the resort, and she's saying something about how like she doesn't want to be physical, and he says that's fine, but it feels like it's like a command, like you're telling me like, and she's like command, and she gets very hung up on like one word and repeats it in an aggressive way and is like very ugly to him and basically kind of gaslights him and twists his words around to where next thing you know, Mark is just apologizing to a very drunk Jessica and trying to make things better, and he finally soothes her and gets her to calm the F down, right? So that already happened once. And I do want to remind everybody that Jessica is the older one. She's the one who's concerned about Mark not being mature enough for this relationship. Just thought we should say that out loud because that's not how this shit's about to go. Anyway, so in the new next 4 episodes, we start with them. They go to his house first. Now, Mark lives with his friends because, bless his heart, he's 24. Okay. And she meets them and she's like, oh my God, they didn't even say anything about the fact that I'm, so much older. Okay, Jessica, we get it. First of all, Mark told you they weren't going to care, and look at that. They don't care. Just saying. Anyway, so they hang out with them, they talk for a while, they go to Jessica's house. Obviously, Jessica's got a much nicer house. It's all set up, she's got herself a golden retriever or whatever. A golden retriever. And that is where we're going to get our most talked about moment, because this happens. That's right, guys. Jessica is drinking wine and having a conversation with Mark, a conversation that goes like this. Okay, so let's say we have a kid. I'm 36, you're 26. The kid is 10 now. I'm 46, you're 36. Then what? He's like, then we're raising our 10-year-old child. And she's like, okay. So let's say we had a kid and now the kid is 14 and I'm 50 and you're 40. Then what? And he's like, then it doesn't, I get it. Like, I'm 10 years younger than you. Even if you age 10 years, I age 10, like what? But at that, so during this whole conversation where she says, I'm just grilling him. I'm not going to let him off the hook. I'm grilling him. Yeah, you're asking the real hard questions like math and stuff. Anyway, they go to a place where they're sitting down on her couch and she gives her little dog her wine glass so that the dog can slurpish from her wine glass. And then she says, she likes wine. Now, I'm going to say something because it's going to come up again. And I am being a little bit judgy. I obviously cannot comment on Jessica. I don't know her. I am not living in her world, and I don't know her everyday, day-to-day business. But if Jessica drinks this much in real life, she might have a drinking problem because Jessica gets messy again and starts another fight. And even though she's not, this is a little bit later, but even though she's not completely messy now, she's been drinking a bit. She's got a real case of drunk face. You can see it. You can see it when she starts to slip. I think it has to do with like the voice starts to slip down to like a normal voice and the face changes completely. And it's not a good look. And I feel like if you know your dog likes wine, it's because you drink alone a lot. And so you have your dog drink with you because you don't want to feel like an alcoholic. Anyway, also, I want to say on a side note, I don't know how healthy it is. I don't think that dogs should consume alcohol. And I just want to put that out there. As an animal lover, I wanted to put that out there. So anyway, yeah, that happened. The world is going nuts about it, like seriously. And I have to think that she must have been drinking to forget that there was a camera and to like share her wine glass with her dog. I do think that, doesn't wine have like alcohol has like cleansing properties, so maybe germs would be killed. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I actually have 4 dogs. You're right, 4 dogs. I have a bunch of animals, guys. Anyway, I just realized that a lot of you guys probably don't even know me very well, so I'll have to do a get to know me conversation. But anyway, yeah, I have 4 dogs, 4 rescue dogs. Most of my animals are rescues. Actually, all but 2 are rescues. So yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate. I'm an animal lover, and I still wouldn't share my wine with my dogs. I wouldn't. I mean, like if a dog licks my food, I'm upset. I'm like, damn, now I gotta go get something new because you just put your dog mouth on my food. But not Jessica. She likes wine. What can we say? Anyway, this conversation also gives us a gift where she reveals that she makes 6 figures, and little Mark's eyes actually go like, you know what I mean? And then she's like, so what do you think about like financial stability? He's 24, Jessica. Now those are the harder questions, but if you don't think that you're not getting involved and you're not going to be more of the financial supporter, then you are. Also, here's the other thing. You talk all the time about traveling and being out of town and not being around, right? So if that's the case, then he's not going to be working full time. He's going to be taking care of the kids that you want so bad. You want to have kids like yesterday, remember? Like you want to have your kids when you're 36 and he's 26, so that when they're 10, you can be 46 and he can be 36, and when they're 20, you can be 56. I think, do you get what I'm saying? There we go. See how we can all keep up with that? Okay, that's not called grilling. Anyway, that's called being ridiculous and maybe a little bit drunk. Anywho, he's gonna have to stay home and take care of the kids if you're all over the world, so why are you complaining? The next thing we're going to talk about with them, they go to a party. I believe it's Barnett's birthday, and everybody's hanging out because, you know, we all live in the same condominium. And Jessica, again, is drinking her wine. She likes wine. She likes drinking. Jessica's a lady. And she's worried about her 24-year-old fiance being immature. Don't worry, Jessica. You're going to make him look so good, okay? So she gets way too drunk. And you get the impression, so Amber and Mark are having a conversation, and Jessica says, I'm just not used to having a guy who's like so out there and like wants to like talk to girls about like their emotions. And she's saying it all like it's something bad or something like that. And I think it's interesting that she's taking that approach when she's also the girl who continues to remind us that they all have connections because they all got to know each other. So, okay, he's talking to a girl. I think she's more aggravated because he's talking to Amber and she's burned. She's burned. So then this party gives us another great Jessica moment. Jessica's getting it on with her hair. Like she does this whole like thing where she pulls her hair like this. She does it when like Mark asks her to marry him in person. She's like, oh, it's like a shield. Oh. Anyway, so she's like playing with her hair and telling Barnett about how it's just not happening. And he's like, oh, like, what do you mean? She's like, I mean, like, you know, we're always going to have that bond. And like, you know, he's not you. And he's like, then why did you say yes? And she's like, I think I was just so upset because like, you know, you and I, we were so serious and like everything had just happened. And I was like, And basically she says that nobody will ever understand their bond. She will always love him. She tells him to call her if he ever needs anything. Just reach out and call me. And Barnett is literally like, I don't know. I thought I'm going to give him some credit here because I thought that Barnett would be a guy who was like into the female attention, but he seems a bit turned off. He seems a bit like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening right now? And she basically like is putting it all out there and throwing herself on it. And then they go home and she's a mess. she's got her drunk face on, and poor little Mark is trying to have a conversation again. I can't, it's like some mundane conversation, some mundane words. She gets hooked up on him and she just starts repeating them and she starts the fight with him. And she's drunk, she's wasted, and she's being really ugly. And he is once again apologizing to her, trying desperately to convince her that everything's going to be okay, that he just needs her to breathe and calm down and like it's going to be okay. And she switches to like, I just think Barnett's so sexy. I like him. Barnett's so hot. And he's like, whoa, that's disrespectful. And he just kind of gets pissed. And that is like where I'm like, yes, stand up for yourself. And yet he is willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. She had too much to drink. This is an emotional roller coaster. You know, I'm not going to hold on to certain things. Why? Why is that happening? Because Mark has more maturity in his pinky finger, which, does anybody notice that Mark has kind of small hands? I keep going like, this dude's not tiny, he's not small. She keeps complaining about how he's not big like the guy she likes. I'm like, he's not small. And he isn't, but he does have like teeny hands, or they appear small. I'll have to try to find a picture for you guys. But anyway, yeah, so he takes, in his one tiny pinky finger, he has more maturity than all of Jessica in her entire body. True story. The fight that they wind up getting into is actually because she says something, I think she's talking about her dog, about how great her dog is, and she says she's the greatest, and Mark says she's a close second, trying to give her a compliment, and she says, what? And he's like, I'm trying to say she's, you know, because you're the greatest, like it was, you don't say that. And she basically just starts tearing into him about it. And then she goes into the whole, that, you know, Barnett is so sexy kind of thing. But I think it is worth mentioning that right after the conversation where she's basically telling Barnett that the only reason she said yes to Mark is because, he, you know, came in, like she was reeling from Barnett's rejection and from everything that happened with us and blah, blah, blah. And then she went and said yes to Mark. And that, you know, she basically says she's still into him. She's like, are you happy? And he says, yes. Barnett's like, yes. And she goes, are you really? He says, yes. She's like, so that's what you want? And he's like, yes. And she keeps like asking him basically the same question. And he's like, yes. And then you get a scene where she goes back over to Mark and she's like, I love you the most. And he's kind of like, what the F is that supposed to mean? And she just starts downing more alcohol. So that's where we're at with Jessica. Just saying, like, that's who Jessica is. And I get that this is like a high pressure situation, and I get that this is like, you know, cameras on them, and so there's going to be a little bit of weirdness, but in the end, this has happened repeatedly with Jessica, and we're not that far into the whole experiment, so it's a little bit strange. It was also a little bit strange because there was like this flip in her, like she went from being broken up with them to all of a sudden being like in it, and Mark is commenting on that. He's like, okay, hold on, like it's getting hard to keep up because like I get that it's a roller coaster, but like 1 minute she's in it, 1 minute she's not, 1 minute she's kissing me, 1 minute she's not. Like, what are we supposed to do? We also find out in this episode, or maybe early in the next one, that they have banged, you guys. They took the leap, that emotional connection became a physical one, and everything was grand in Mark's opinion. But Mark doesn't realize that Jessica is still hitting on Barnett actively. I do wonder how that's going to play out when the cameras, you know, when the show comes out. I wonder what's happening right now in Mark's head. I would love to be a fly on the wall, like somebody's mother said. We meet Mark's parents and family. They are all extremely welcoming and very, very happy. It is a great time. I love them. There's an accent there. I love his parents. His dad basically just sits there and like watches everything. And mom makes a couple of comments about pretty much like ruling the roost and everything. She's a little bit slow to warm, but she does warm up to Jessica. And again, Jessica is like, Mark said that it would be fine and that they wouldn't bring it up, and nobody asked me how old I was, and everybody seemed fine. And I'm feeling like this is a much bigger deal to Jessica than it is to the entire rest of the world, one. And two, I just feel like it should be said again that the person she's obsessed with is only 3 years older than Mark. It's not like she's going, you know, Mark is 24 and Barnett is 34. We could do that math all over again. Or, Mark is 24 and Barnett is 32. Barnett is literally 27 years old. He's only 3 years older than Mark. So I just feel like that should be put out there because she is obsessed with him and yet turned off by this age gap with Mark. Like that would make a big deal. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a weird world where she's like, that's her one complaint. She does go back and forth. There's a date that Mark sets up for her where basically he puts down rose petals and blanklets and wine. Good. Because Mark has learned the way to Jessica's heart. Wine, alcohol, and he is recreating the pods. And they're sitting in two different rooms talking to each other around a wall. This is actually a theme. This happens with Giannina and Damien. They also are going to get into kind of a weird fight where it's a strange verbalization, but in the end, they kind of worked it out being in two different rooms. So I guess there's like a comfort that they all keep talking about, like the comfort of the pods. So, yeah, so they have this fight and instantly, like as soon as they're in two different rooms, and this might be editing, but as soon as they're in two different rooms, Jessica starts talking. And basically she says that her mom was 20 and her dad was about 24 when a child, Jessica, was born, or when they got pregnant, and the dad was like, I don't want this kid, give it up or get rid of it. And the mom was like, no, so they wound up divorcing and dad left. And so it's always bothered her that he has been gone, but that when she was around 4, her stepdad adopted her and wound up raising her entire life. I do think that it's interesting to me, just a side note, that her father not being there from before she can even remember affects her more. Like she's more scared that a man will leave her than learning from her stepfather who adopted her and is still in her life or was in her life her entire life. Being there. It's like, I don't know, there was a good example of a man in your life, so clearly they can be responsible. I guess I can see where she's concerned that a 24-year-old won't want a baby because her 24-year-old father didn't. I don't know. So I'm trying to give her a little bit of a break on that. I just find it really hard. And the truth is that even without the dog wine sharing, Jessica comes off as a little bit unlikable. And in a lot of these situations, you'll have contestants on reality shows and stuff say, oh, it's editing and stuff like that. But there's only so much that editing can do. And there's a whole world of you just being yourself, and the camera is basically acting like a mirror. And while I would say that it could be editing, at the same time, you also have Mark commenting on the behaviors. He's talking about the hot and cold. He's talking about the maybe, drinking a little bit too much. Amber also comments on it. She's like, somebody's having a little bit too much time, and she's not appreciative of Jessica stepping out of line with her man. The girls all go wedding dress shopping, and Jessica practically has a panic attack. She's kind of freaking out hard. Just doesn't feel right. Just doesn't feel right. I don't know what to say. It just doesn't feel right. Well, of course it doesn't feel right because you're crazy and you're not doing anything good for anybody right now. There's a moment in this conversation where Amber expresses how much she loves Barnett and how she would just like not be able to make it without him, which is kind of a scary thought because, hey girl, it's still early. But anyway, that happens. And I think that this might trigger what happens next if editing isn't too crazy. But what happens next is we see Jessica sitting in the courtyard area of the shared condominium area building, and of course she's got a glass of wine. I'm not gonna stop. I mean, this is an issue, I think, seriously. But anyway, she has a glass of wine, she's waiting for somebody, and here comes Barnett. Don't let me down, brother. Do not let me down. And he doesn't. Once again, she is expressing that she just never would have seen him with Amber. That's just such a strange thing. I mean, oh my God, like that's so crazy. I just never would have guessed it. And he's like, why? I don't know, it's just not who I thought you'd be with. This is ugly. This is an ugly look, Jess. It's an ugly look. During this conversation, Barnett says, you're a good faker. I'm just kidding. And she's like, what? Stop. No, bitch, because you are faking. This is the fakest conversation. You telling him how great they are together, how you've been saying since Mexico, they're so great together and everything else, and you're so happy. It's fake. Why are we doing this? Oh, because Jessica can't leave her cards on the table. She wants to make sure that by the end of this, she said everything she wants to say. Barnett then takes the time to tell her, to explain that he's not into it, that he's 100%. He's like, look, I was about you, but I am with Amber and that's what I'm doing. And she's like, she's acting shocked and like, what? And he's like, look, the other night you kind of made it like, seem like you had regret. And she's like, about you? Oh my God, no. He's like, oh no. And she's like, no. He's like, oh, okay. No, I'm happy. No. It's not a good look, Jessica. It's not a good look. Like, you're making Barnett, who is practically like a man child and is having a rough time with all of this, which actually, look, I have to say, I'm surprised over these few episodes he's seeming a lot better. But like, you're making Barnett look like a good guy. Like, you are such a clinger and you're like destroying. I said it last video, I'm gonna say it again. You are burning your house down. You have a guy who is willing to overlook your terrible behaviors. Terrible. And the fact that you share a wine glass with your dog and you are just, I don't know. I don't know. Like, you guys, how I said I wanted to like meet Diamond, like I would like to have a sit down and have a conversation and talk to Diamond. I want to talk to Jessica about what she thinks about herself after seeing this show, but I feel like she might be so delusional that she won't even see like what we're all seeing. I don't know. Hey guys, real quick before I kind of ended the video, but I did want to mention that if you haven't, I would love it if you would subscribe and like this video if you are enjoying the conversation. I am curious to figure out, like, where do you think this is going? I think that Marc will marry her. I did want to put that out there because I think that the next episode we're going to get is the weddings, and I know that we got the beginning of a wedding this week, but I'm just curious, so I'm going to give you guys my opinion. I think that Marc will marry her, so I think this is going to be completely on Jessica. I think that he would stick through her pretty much almost anything. I'm wondering. I'm also wondering if Netflix is going to choose to release a reunion or what. But I do tell you this much. I am actually, my real job is internet sleuth. Not really, I'm a stalker. Well, not really. It's a long story, but anyway, basically I do internet research, so I will be doing a dig for any and all social media. So as soon as they can be public, I will be looking them up and trying to figure out, and I'm sure there's gonna be interviews. So even after we stop having new, like, Netflix content to talk about, I will be doing a little bit of searching to see what we can find out about their lives today. But I was wondering, like, do you think they're gonna get married? Do you think that this could work? Do you think that she can like actually see herself and grow? I feel like she is 34, as she keeps on reminding us, and that she's probably pretty set in her ways. And unfortunately, I don't think she sees Marc as somebody she can learn from. I think she sees Marc as somebody she's basically going to have to parent, when in reality, he seems a little more self-aware than she is, and actually more mature, as I keep on mentioning. So that is my opinion. I would love to hear yours. Go ahead and leave me a comment, and I will be doing all of the other couples in like tomorrow and the next day, and hopefully I'll be wrapping them up over the weekend. So I'll talk to you guys later.